It's the weekly wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle, on the weekly wrap. And this is my favorite time of the show, wherein I find out what is in Tim's background. And I'm going to say, because we're very, very topical, Joe Biden is actually walking. You're in a live shot there. He's wandering around. He wants to shake your hand now, Tim. He thinks that you are the Queen of England, not the one who recently died, but maybe Elizabeth I. I think so. Am I right about that? Or
well, it's scary how close you got there, Bruce, because I'm in London.
Oh,
and I'm watching Kate. I'm watching Kate Middleton pick out a new outfit.
Well, there you go. Absolutely. Boy, that is a little frightening that I was. Boy,
that's the closest you've ever gotten since we started playing this dumb game.
We are almost on the same wavelength. And once we do, we'll extinguish ourselves. Yeah. The thing about King Charles, he's just a figurehead. He's kind of like the Lloyd Austin of England. Why did he have to disclose that he had cancer? He could have kept it as private. It's nobody's business. It's not like the nation depends on his actions. I mean, he's like Lloyd Austin.
Well, I think it's because there are people in England that still like the king. I mean, it's sort of evolutionary. The ones that did not like the king are either here or dead. So
yeah. Well, look, I mean,
there's generations that love the royalty, and if he just all of a sudden up and died, they couldn't say, they're going to say, how long did you know? So why didn't you tell us?
Here's the thing. I think that the king got the best boost publicity with the last few seasons or couple of seasons of The Crown, because he's played by Dominic West. Dominic West is on The Wire. He's right. The quintessence of sexiness. Mm-hmm. He was on The Wire. He was on the that series, The Affair. He's the strong. I mean, he's not what King Charles is. You couldn't have asked for more, King Chuck. That was beautiful. He played McNulty. May as well forget about calling
King McNulty.
Your McNulty's ship. Yeah, I mean,
I think there would be a lot of kings and queens rolling over in their graves if there was a royalty with a Mick in front of their name, though.
Oh yeah. We're talking about Shakespearean. Out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow. All right, so this just came across the wires, as we say, because I want to get myself into Joe Biden.
It's actually across the fibers now. I think it's actually the fibers.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the time people see this, who knows? But Joe Biden won the battle, and I think he lost the election because he has been exonerated by the special prosecutor looking into his documents case. But the basis for it is largely because he's a doddering old man and may very well be senile. Now, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that the prosecutor, I believe, is named Ben-Hur, right? Mm-hmm. Charlie Cook in National Review was saying that within the next 48 hours, Biden will probably refer to the guy as Ben-Hur, but his last name is Hur. Loved Ben, hated her. Remember that one?
Or maybe his first name is Bone.
But okay, so this is the Biden documents that they were in his garage and this and that, and he turned them over. But and a lot of people are maybe trying to make more of it than they should, or maybe I'm trying to cut Biden some slack here. They said that he did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview with the special counsel when his term ended. He said, quote, "If it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president?" Okay. And forgetting on the second day of the interview when his term began. In 2009, am I still vice president? He said, look, in defense of Biden, okay, and that I think I've done this on this show, when I'm rattling off the list of all the 46 presidents from memory in order, I gingerly tiptoe over Tyler Polk Taylor because I'm sometimes think it's the other way around, Taylor Polk Tyler. And you know that I put Rutherford B. Hayes in only by process of elimination. So I don't blame Biden for not knowing exactly when he had the second highest office in the United States of America.
Well, first of all, it's kind of amusing because that was Hillary's defense was I don't recall,
Sure.
And in this case, it's very likely.
Well, right. Well, I immediately thought of Blagojevich, who, and I did shows with Sam Adam, his attorney, who actually got him off through a hung jury the first time. Basically the Blagojevich defense was Rod just likes to talk. He just likes to talk and talk and talk. He doesn't mean anything by it. It's not any real threat.
Sure.
He just likes, and it's true that he does. So this defense, I mean, this basically it's the senility defense, and like I say, it's going to win him the battle. But this is just another nail in his coffin, which is being prepared for him, apparently, quite literally. This is just maybe at this point it's already a feature, not a bug. It's baked in the cake. It's no big surprise, but I mean, gee whiz, this is like an independent guy saying this. This isn't some partisan saying it.
Well, how are you going to find out? He doesn't even know when he took them. And even though, and here's the thing. Here is the thing that differentiates this from the Trump case that nobody's going to bring up outside here. Is that he wasn't entitled to have any of those documents. He stole them. He stole those documents. The senator, Trump can take whatever he wants perfectly legally. I mean, the Presidential Records Act allows that.
Look, I'm not at this point. Who cares about any of these cases? They're there for another reason. I mean, is this the end of the line for his candidacy? I mean, despite the fact that he got 140,
I think this is it. I think this is the beginning of the end. This is.
I mean, they're going to get somebody else. They're nominating somebody else in Chicago in the summer. It's not him. Am I right? Am I just?
Well, I don't know. Will it go that long? I mean, will they let it go all the way to Chicago?
No, they can't. I mean, there are other primaries coming up and everything, and they've got it. So I think right now we should really be talking about who's the Democratic nominee for president. It doesn't look like it's. Excuse me,
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley. I'm thinking that what a stealth move by her. Now, if she can get a few more votes than she got in the Nevada primary, which I believe none of the above got more than she did, but she wasn't putting her eggs in that basket. No, I get it. Yeah, she lost to none of these candidates. She lost it in the Nevada GOP primary, but I hear she might do better in South Carolina, which you kind of hope she would to save a little face since she was the governor there. But yeah,
I like the way you said that in the pre-show, Bruce. You said that Nikki Haley got smashed by none of the above, which has a completely different meaning to young people now.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm glad I can get jiggy with it, and the kids nowadays.
It's no one wants to cop to that. No one wants. It was none of the above. Smashed her.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking. Are we looking at Kamala Harris as a Democratic nominee?
How could possible?
How could they not let her do it? She's that's why she sat there in the vice president's chair for these many months.
I have a feeling, the only way out of that is calling Hillary and asking if she still knows some people.
I think Hillary is still ready she's ready to take over.
Sure.
Now is her time. I think she's ready for another run at it.
Sure.
Yeah,
she's gonna take Kamala to Fort Marcy Park.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to get back. That's where who was the guy who killed him? Oh, Vince Foster.
Yeah,
is that a Vince Foster illusion?
That's a Vince Foster illusion.
Oh
yes.
Yeah, man, way to go! I could see they could convict me of squirreling away documents because I do have a memory. I remembered Vince Foster. That's pretty good
So-
Clinton
and then-
trivia right
then
there.
they need the Rikers video repair company to take care of the cameras that are
Oh.
not been set up in Fort Marcy Park.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. Well, all this, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that earlier this week, Biden, see, he knows he's got, he's up against it. He wanted to get airfare free for children if they're going with their parents on an airplane. That was his latest. It's kind of like a variation on the student loan thing. Let's give free airfare. Now I know that Governor Abbott already beat him to this because I don't think he charged migrant kids when he flew them into the various cities. So he's being outflanked by Governor Abbott.
He flew them cage free.
Yeah. So yeah, I love when they come up with these desperate measures to maximize the incumbency. It's for airfare, free for children. Maybe it just came
some
out.
parents would vote. Some parents would vote for that. I think some parents would gladly trade their vote for free airfare. That's and it's like, boy, I can't do it. I can't do it this term. It's I'm gonna have to do that next term. So make sure you fill out that mail-in ballot a couple times.
The problem is that Biden, when he brings this up again in some press conference that he's never going to have, will say that the kids can sit right between Orville and Wilbur on the flight. So, all right. Well, all right. Let's make this a Biden fest. Bring it into the next segment as well. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from from France looked at me and said, why, how long are you back for?
It's President Biden confusing current French President Emmanuel Macron with former French President Francois Mitterrand.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And what were we talking about last segment? Oh yeah, the Joe Biden. His memory is pretty bad. So, I'm always
Boris
trying to
Yeltsin. I think it was his
I'm always
conversation with Boris Yeltsin.
Yeah, I'm always trying to give an innocent construction to what these people do. Like, maybe he was speaking of Mitterrand metaphorically. But no, it really sounds like he did think he was talking to Mitterrand. And then apparently he made a subsequent mistake and referred to Helmut Kohl when he actually meant Merkel. So he's just like about, just a generation off on some of these things. It's
Well, was it a congresswoman that he said, I just had my picture taken with her? She's there in the audience. Where is she?
Oh, right. She was dead. Wasn't she? I think. Yeah.
Just had my picture taken with her.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Well, what else did he say here that the special counsel wanted to hang him with? That he didn't remember even within several years when his son Bo died. That was May of 2015.
Well, he keeps saying that he was killed in Iraq. He repeats that one over and over. That's only second to marching with Martin Luther King.
Well, the problem with this is that Biden has been like this. That's another thread of his personality, the pathological liar. So you don't know where the lying ends and the senility begins.
Well, also, who said if you repeat a lie long enough, it becomes the truth? It's doubly so when you're approaching senility.
Yeah. And a quote from the special prosecutor. And his memory appeared hazy when describing the Afghanistan debate that was once so important to him. Among other things, he mistakenly said he had a real difference of opinion with General Carl Eikenberry, when in fact Eikenberry was an ally whom Mr. Biden cited approvingly in his Thanksgiving 2009 memo to President Obama. Well, these generals are fungible. How do you remember what's? Come on. I mean, next thing you know, you're gonna be testing me on what the rent of New York Avenue is with 3 houses in Monopoly. Okay, $100, but I think, but yeah, I think we're getting a little picky.
He was talking to General MacArthur about that.
Right now, It doesn't help Biden that he's planning on sitting out the Super Bowl interview. And this is the second year in a row. Last year he had the excuse that it was Fox, so it was, it was going to be antagonistic. But this year it's going to be CBS. I thought if they did the interview with him this year, okay, you give him a little help. You provide him with a Baskin-Robbins menu so that he could point to the ice cream that he likes. It's not so bad. I mean, this is the equivalent of a ramp up to his seat.
Trump said he'd do it.
If
he said if Biden doesn't want to do it, I'll do it.
Who said? Trump said he'd do it. Oh yeah,
Trump
sure.
said yes. He said, if he doesn't want to do it, you still got that time slot open. I'll do it. I'd love to sit down with you.
I totally get that. Yeah, I get it. Speaking of
how long ago did the Super Bowl did that tradition start? Of sitting down with the president before the Super Bowl.
If you ask Biden, he'd probably say it was in Calvin Coolidge's term. And the problem with Silent Cal is that he was being interviewed at the time by Leslie Stahl, and she said, "Mr. President, I've got a bet with somebody that I can make you say 3 words in this interview," and his response was, "You lose." So, and it was pretty short. They, of course, they didn't have these really long halftime extravaganzas like before, like they do now.
I think, and I could be wrong here, I think it was probably W. I think with George W. Bush, I think it was probably
the best one was Barack Obama with Bill O'Reilly. The reason being that he said that Nixon was a liberal, and he was right. And Nixon was a statist. He created the EPA, rapprochement with détente or whatever with China, and wage and price controls. All kinds of things. But to a certain generation, like my parents' generation, Nixon was the incarnation of evil. The guy who railroaded Helen Gahagan Douglas, to pull out a name, but. And so
you're gonna have to explain that reference, Bruce.
Well, I
don't know it, and I don't know if any of our listeners do.
It's just good enough that I mention the name, because it's just somebody that he railroaded, and he was mean to, and the oldsters. I mean, they're no longer sters. Hated him for that, among other things. He was the crook. Well, when you have Barack Obama, the sainted one, the one we were all waiting for. When Nixon was a liberal. Oh, that has to make people just wonder why do we even bother trying to impeach him? So,
well, actually, it was he was an anti-communist, and I think that's why
right, and they were pro-communist.
He was part of the McCarthy, that whole McCarthy.
Yeah,
thing.
no.
And then I think that's why he moved left. He was trying to get back in the good graces of the media. So he moved it's left, possible. and they still hated him.
Right. They went and they ran him out of the presidency. I mean, it's his problem that he didn't burn the tapes when he had a chance. So
I think the Presidential Records Act would have allowed that too.
Okay, here we go. If you can mention the Presidential Records Act once each segment somehow, there's going to be a Pavlovian thing. You're going to get B.F. Skinner is going to hand you a little food pellet. Okay, so I'm really going Dennis Miller right now. All I have to do is say B.F. Skinner cha-cha, Helen Gahagan Douglas cha-cha. That'll just make it funny. So Jean Carroll, remember last week I was trying to argue that, I think reasonable people could say it was more likely than not that he did, he did a sexually assault her. And you, I think, had the good view of it, was that there was something going on between them, and maybe it got a little out of hand, but maybe not. So, but she really hurt herself because she was doing a victory lap with Rachel Maddow's show and everything, and talking about getting a penthouse for Rachel Maddow. And, I thought the whole thing should be reviewed in New York, like they do, in the NFL on replays. And so she'd get the touchdown, but then she'd be fined for taunting. So you take off, about 30-40 million from it just for her comments.
Well, it's actually, if I remember from the court docket correctly, it was Trump that got the touchdown.
Hi-oh! Okay. So speaking of Trump, I mean, you remember last week we were talking, oh, there's some bad polls here. One in Pennsylvania had Biden leading, and the Quinnipiac one had Biden leading, and so there were good numbers, jobs numbers. But now, over the last weekend, NBC, and Steve Kornacki, the guy who interprets this stuff, is a liberal who is on MSNBC a lot, and he's no Trump fan. And he was going, I mean,
I might add, this is the same NBC that put Estes rocket engines inside of a Ford truck to make it blow up, to prove that Ford trucks are prone to blowing up. This is the same NBC that edited the same NBC that edited the George Zimmerman tape to make it sound like he said things that he did not say. So
this is the same NBC that made that University of Pennsylvania swimmer, that guy who wants to be a girl. They kind of rubbed out the 5 o'clock shadow on his face. This is the same NBC that let me go. Enough said. So anyway, NBC, they had this poll, and Trump led on everything. 20 points on the economy, led on defense, every single thing. The only thing he didn't lead on was abortion, and that was pretty narrow. And so I'm thinking right now is all he needs is to have a girlfriend to get an abortion, and he's a shoo-in. So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, I would be very surprised if Trump never had to have his attorney write a check for that.
Oh,
I'd be very surprised.
I'm trying to get the joke.
What? Oh, he that was the whole Stormy Daniels thing. His attorney had to write a check for an NDA.
Yeah, right.
So I would be surprised if, with his history and what kind of a rogue he was at one point, if that was never a.
Right.
That was never.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. And of course thank you, Alvin Bragg, the district attorney in Manhattan, I guess it is, for bringing the first of the frivolous lawsuits against Trump, which kind of muddies up all the other ones as well.
Sure.
And I think this morning, when we're taping this, the Supreme Court was hearing arguments about Colorado knocking Trump off the ballot. Now that would be something if the Supreme Court actually agreed with Colorado. And not only did we have Trump knocked off the ballot, but we had Biden knocked off the ballot because the Democrats pulled him out. And then what do we do?
Do you think there'd be celebration tomorrow? I think there'd be celebration.
It would be unbelievable.
If they both got knocked off the ballot at the same day.
It would be unbelievable. But I think the Supreme Court's going to rule otherwise. They're not going to let Trump.
Well, no, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I didn't really consider is that because I was saying, I think a state has a right to put whoever they want on a ballot. I mean, I think it's a states' rights issue. So if Colorado doesn't want them on the ballot, Colorado has a right not to put them on the ballot. However, I think it was ABC News said that if it goes against Trump, it would end his campaign entirely. Which is interesting. I guess that would be true, wouldn't it? If the Supreme Court says that he's not qualified to run for president, could
I don't know, because you're
still
saying
couldn't
that
even
the Supreme
even
Court
the red
is saying
states
that covers that they made a determination that this was an insurrection, and so none of the states can do that. This is not just limited to Colorado doing it. I don't know. Do I look like a constitutional lawyer?
Yeah, no, but it's an interesting perspective, because most of us are just saying, well, yeah, it's just the blue states. They just want to knock out.
No. It
states.
Sounds like he'd.
But by taking it to the Supreme Court, it's pretty much that's the issue. Is he or is he not able to run for president? So
that's right. That's why I'd be a little bit nervous now, but
and meanwhile, there are felons outside the Supreme Court right now trying to influence the court by protesting.
Yeah.
Which
are they insurrectionists? Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Tom Skilling joins WGN, becomes a member of the News 9 team. And Tom, I hope you're as happy about it as we are. Jack, it's indeed a pleasure to work with such a group of professionals here at WGN and in one of the most exciting weather markets probably in the whole United States.
We've talked it over, and we're going to have to let you go.
Ah, not this again. Look, for the last time, you don't own this place. You don't even own your car.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Did you have to show Pat Tomasulo? I mean, really, he's a funny guy. Just because he's on the irreverent newscast that's irreverent about everything except the news. I mean, how can you do a serious interview with Chuck Swirsky? Anyway, Tom Skilling is ending his 45-year weather filibuster. I mean, oh my God, they must have given him 10 minutes a night to do the weather. I mean, it's yeah. But congratulations to him. And actually, he was a couple of times I subbed on WGN radio. He couldn't have been nicer, especially when I started telling the Jeffrey Skilling Enron jokes to him. I mean, he just went right over. And
whatever happened to Jeffrey?
I think he get out or something. I'm not sure.
Did he get out?
But Tom lost a lot of weight recently because when he was doing for many years when he was doing the weather, was standing at the map. All you'd see was Iowa. He totally covered up Illinois, and now we can hardly see him.
Should have had a green suit, so all you could see was his
there
head.
You go.
So the entire map would have been there in front of him.
But he was looking good. And then there's another TV weather story out. Somebody tweeted this, so I'm sure it's true, but I've read it on Twitter. So, but Cheryl Scott of Channel 7, fine weathercastress. That's
a nice way of saying it.
She's weathercastratrix. I mean, I'm not sure.
Fine.
But, so she is supposedly freezing her eggs. Because
wow.
Yeah. She's supposedly freezing her eggs. So, because she's getting a little up there right now. And I'm thinking, call me the matchmaker, the TV weather matchmaker, but I'm thinking Skilling should be the donor, right? Shouldn't he? I mean, can you imagine?
Isn't she married?
Apparently not.
Really?
Yeah.
Because for a while there, she had a huge rock on her finger. It was enormous. It was covering most of Iowa.
There we go. There we go. So, can't get enough pictures of Cheryl, who I actually worked with for a brief time at Channel 5. So I must recuse myself from any discussions on this. But anyway, Tom Skilling should be the donor there. Look, we got to get back to the soon-to-be late President Biden. Yes, one more picture of Cheryl Scott. Did she dance? Did she dance this New Year's? She used to do this dance number every New Year's on Channel 7, but I don't even know if she did it this year. There's AM 560.
I did not see it. I was up in Hammond for the pierogi drop.
I wasn't up. That's I was asleep at 9. So JB Pritzker, according to AM 560, The Answer, which is at least as reliable as Twitter, says that the whispering campaign is beginning, or there are whispers that JB Pritzker will try to angle, which is not easy for him to do, maneuver in any way, shape, or form, will be angling to replace Biden. He's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of favors to call in. I say roll over William Howard Taft if you can. And but how about that? How about JB? And then, Tim, what do I do as a Jew? I already felt guilty that I didn't vote for who's that senator from Connecticut, the East Coast. He was the vice presidential candidate, Lieberman. I didn't vote for him, and he's a great guy. What am I going to do? I'm not going to vote for the first Jew nominated to be president of the United States, but instead I'm going to vote for a guy who I think may have raped somebody.
Well, here's the question. Considering he's all hotel money, is that going to invoke the emoluments clause again? It's
Meanwhile, we have another Pritzker story. Pritzker tweeted out that something about, we've got this tweet. I know, Chris, you're busy looking through all our files for more pictures of Cheryl Scott, but for just 1 second, if you can just find this tweet that Pritzker had, where he's next to a jar of Nutella. And yes, happy World Nutella Day, Illinois. Proud to be home to Ferrero's first chocolate manufacturing facility in the U.S., its innovation center and R&D labs, to many more years of growth here in our state. And of course, all you have to do is see the picture of Pritzker with, there's a label, Governor Pritzker, on the Nutella, and it's the answer is, now we know why. Have you ever sat with a jar of Nutella? I mean, it's worse. You could eat one Jay's potato chip more, than you could just get away with one spoonful of Nutella. It's absolutely delicious, and if he has to give that up in order to become the 47th president of the United States, that's my first question to him at the press conference or in the debates. Are you going to give up Nutella?
You don't usually think of the Nutella and Governor Pritzker. Usually, when you see him, you just think about the bread.
Okay, but yeah, he's imagine that. And his sister got in trouble recently. She's on the board at Harvard that hired Claudine Gay, and then they had to get rid of her. But I don't think.
Well, here's what I think. I think in the wake of our string of incarcerated governors, I think Chicago is probably, or Illinois, Illinois even is probably at least a century away from ever fielding a presidential candidate. There's no any Illinois politician that tries to run for federal office, outside of Illinois, no way. There's absolutely no way.
I don't think.
Really? You don't think that you don't think we have that kind of a stain?
No, I mean, Pritzker's, he didn't have to steal anything. So, yeah, I mean, he's fine. He's okay. I mean, the problem is he's so damn liberal. I mean, you talk about COVID closures and everything, just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'd be in a pickle dick of this, because I just, part of me's, no, I don't think I could in good conscience vote for him. So,
right, but that is well, any Democrat, and I think I'll even go further. I don't think that any governor that shut their state down during the pandemic has any right to the word liberal. Because what was going on during the pandemic is the most illiberal thing that has ever happened in my lifetime.
I feel like crying. I feel like you're lecturing me. I feel guilty, and I'm on your side. That's
for what? What making you feel guilty for? I don't get that.
Hey, speaking of the Ivy League, did you see where Dartmouth is bringing back the SAT? Which it's funny, they initially brought on the SAT, a little history of standardized testing, so that schools couldn't discriminate, that they'd be judging on the basis of merit, how well you did on a standardized test. And somehow that got convoluted into it's biased against minorities. Well, then they made sure to clean up the test, and it's been cleaned up for years so that, all the verbiage would be common to everybody, all the English speaking peoples. But they got rid of it because, of course, the results would always be bad for minorities.
What did they replace it? What did they replace it with? Sherwin-Williams ballots, maybe.
Right, exactly. Pantene number 14. Is it called Pantene or Pantone? Anyway, but this. Remember, if you recall, last week I was particularly nasty because I didn't get the White Sox play-by-play job again for the 40th straight year, and they gave a guy looks like a great up-and-comer, but it said that he was a Dartmouth grad, and I pointed out, since he's biracial, that there was a rebuttable presumption that he was the beneficiary of affirmative action and might not otherwise be Dartmouth worthy. And that was kind of nasty of me. But here's Dartmouth saying, so I wonder if this guy actually matriculated, pardon my Hank Stram, at Dartmouth when they weren't using the SAT.
Well, when we were talking about this on Twitter, I looked it up. He was on the Dartmouth baseball team. So he was an athletic scholarship, which is the way we used to get minorities into good colleges.
And George Bush was on the Yale baseball team. Not said about that. So I think we should have Schriffen.
Well, actually, George Bush, I think is the last president I remember who could really throw a baseball.
You know who scored higher on the SAT between George Bush and Al Gore?
George Bush?
Yeah. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
U.S. city to call for a ceasefire in Gaza, and in return, Gaza called for a ceasefire in Chicago.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Yeah, well, first off, I love that SNFL. Yeah, well, if they're gonna, I think Peyton Manning has hosted. SNL makes fun of Chicago by plagiarizing everyone. Everyone made that joke. I made it. Everybody made it on Twitter last week. And, I know it's hard nowadays because you're not the only game in town. You come on once a week. We know what that's like. So, but of course, it's also interesting between that and the fact that they're going to have Shane Gillis as the host, who actually got fired by SNL 5 years ago for politically incorrect tweeting or podcast.
Oh no, it was his podcast. Yeah, he was talking about him and his girlfriend ordering at a Chinese restaurant. And you can kind of write the jokes.
You could pull your Alphonse D'Amato right there. As a matter of fact, Shecky Green, who just died, I was looking at a tape of his from 40, 50 years ago, 40, probably 50. And he's doing a Chinese restaurant thing. And that's when you could do it. So
Buddy Hackett was the one who made that famous. He you ever see the Buddy Hackett
I believe so.
restaurant?
Yeah.
It's
no.
We don't have split pea soup, but he does it with a funny accent. It's pretty much the punchline. And he would put a rubber band over his eyes, so you get the right effect.
Oh, don't get me going at Marlon Brando and Tea House of the August Moon cha-cha with the way they did his eyebrows. Or was it Warner Oland or Sidney Toller? I can't remember who played Charlie Chan. So, do you remember? And it was a non-Asian.
Sure.
Yeah, and so I told this story before. I was doing this segment on Channel 32 in the morning. We were talking about whether you had to be of the ethnicity in order to play the part, and the hostess that I was working with said, "Oh, you mean like Charlie Chaplin?" And I said, "No, I think you mean Charlie Chan, not Charlie Chaplin." And that was the last time we did one of those segments. So,
it was hard. It was hard in those days to find Asian actors. You realize that, right? Because back then, if a parent found out that his son wanted to go into acting, he'd commit Harry Carey. That's
hi-yo. Hi-yo. It was worth the wait. Oh, man. Why isn't Tim Slagle hosting SNL in a couple of weeks here? All right.
I think I find that very interesting that the writers are sneaking over to conservative blogs and websites and listening to commentators for material because no one else at SNL realizes that's not original. Because they don't, they didn't make that joke on MSNBC or CNN.
Yeah, no,
they have no idea. It's a little.
Everybody in the universe is making those jokes, and they're the last ones to be in
on the other side of the universe, though. The side of the universe they never visit.
Yeah, this has got to be somehow ratings driven. They're not stupid. They've got to know that they're losing the audience, and I think it probably. I mean, the low watermark for them had to be when they made fun when they made fun of the Congress people who were interviewing Claudine Gay, the Harvard president, instead of making fun of Claudine Gay. And they were tone deaf on that one. And I mean, they've been like this for years, but I'm just wondering if there is a cohort in the 25-54 demographic that has turned them off. I mean, people like us, of course, they have been trying to get since Aykroyd left the show. But it's there's got to be some kind of ratings thing that's driving this, that they would go conservative.
Our demographic isn't up that late.
No. I mean, we like to watch clips. I do. Some of
and the only advertisers our demographic can attract are arthritis medication. And,
but you know what? I did see the clip, and we didn't show this. So Nikki Haley was on SNL as well. All right, and I mean, she was a little wooden, but she was there. That's the whole point. And she's asking questions of the Donald Trump character, and the guy who does Trump. It's not Alec Baldwin anymore. But the guy who does Trump, I liked his imitation, and I guess I like all imitations of Harry Carey, speak of the devil, including Will Ferrell's, and all imitations of Trump. So anybody can do them. There's a whole spectrum there, but this guy was pretty good. So I recommend looking at that clip. We don't have that clip.
Yeah, but did you see what they did to Nikki? I can't believe she volunteered for that. Is that somebody then asked a question of Nikki Haley? Did you see that part of the clip? Somebody in the audience got up. They said, Governor, how come when asked about the Civil War you didn't mention slavery? And no comedy. There was no comedy there. I don't think so. Maybe it's a joke I didn't get. That was actually
on SNL.
Yes. Oh. Yes. It's a town hall, and she's asking. There it is, right there. There's Chris is showing the picture of it. They go, how come you didn't mention slavery?
She doesn't have an answer.
She says, "Well, that was a mistake."
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's no joke.
But
no joke.
It's kind of a mistake. Well, I guess they had to do that to show that they're, they still got their liberal chops there. So
I know, but why would she put herself in that situation?
Or why would SNL do something that isn't a joke?
There's that's a silly question, Bruce.
Stupid me. That's why I'm not in the big time. All right, we got to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. And I know you don't care.
One more thing. I just want to say
ahead.
One more thing. If SNL was truly the hotbed of satire that it thinks itself is, they would contract Trump to come on and play Alec Baldwin defending himself in the New Mexico trial. That's if I were a head writer for SNL, I said this would be a great bit. We get Donald Trump. He'll do it. He'll play Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, that's a little meta, ironic. But I
didn't
like
pull
it.
the trigger. I did not pull the no, never pull the trigger.
I like it. It's a little too much for them. So anyway, Super Bowl.
Yeah, too funny.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I actually thought I came up with a pretty good joke here, but I don't think anybody's going to get it. So I just saw that Brittany Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes' wife, is going to be in the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Well, I didn't know she was trans, but okay, that one anybody can get. And they've shown some clips of her. She looks great. But my comment, and they just came out with this right before we came on. My thought was, well, shouldn't they wait to see who the winning quarterback is going to be? And then, because it's possible they might need to feature Marina Oswald. Now, you'd have to know that Brock Purdy, the 49ers quarterback, was actually asked this week if he realized that he was a lookalike for Lee Harvey Oswald, which I really don't believe he is, but that's how crazy the Super Bowl gets. So, I didn't even listen to the answer. I didn't even want to look at that. But anyway, so Marina Oswald
should ask Ted Cruz's opinion on that.
Yeah, right. Gee whiz.
I don't see it.
No, I don't see that he looks like Lee Harvey Oswald at all.
Nope.
And
Ted Cruz's dad looks more like him, I think.
Right. And my first question would have been, why didn't you take the shot when they're coming down the street right towards the depository instead of after, when it would seem to have been tougher? It's kind of like, why didn't you throw to George Kittle instead of throwing the bomb to whoever the wide receiver is? Anyway, none of that works. Let's try to recover right here.
Who do you like in this? Who do you like in the Super Bowl? Since this is our Super Bowl special,
the over/under on Tony Romo saying that's exactly right, Jim, is 3. So that's all I know. That's the proposition bet that I got. So there's this guy, Groovy Hoovy. He works on Channel 9, Jeff Hoover, and he says some people say that they're watching a Super Bowl for the commercials. And he said that's like reading Playboy for the articles. I say, I watch the Super Bowl for the Playboy moments, the wardrobe malfunction, J-Lo's and Shakira's tushies. Are you going to watch the game itself?
Usually I yes. Well, the game itself, you mean the actual?
You don't care.
I'm usually there for the pageantry, the commercials. Yeah, I'm guilty as charged.
Yeah,
I'll leave the game on, and if it gets exciting, I'll watch it.
I used to get upset, that everybody would say, "Did you see this commercial? That commercial?" Well, you've got to be riveted to the set the entire time, and this is good. I think I've seen every one of these. All 50.
I DVR it. I start it like a half hour late and put it on the DVR.
How can you DVR the greatest live event every year? I mean,
it's what I do. So I can pause it, and then I can fast forward through the game, get straight to those commercials, and get straight to the halftime show.
I'd rather believe in 3 or 4 of your favorite conspiracy theories than think that you actually watch the Super Bowl on tape. I mean, everybody in the neighborhood, everybody in the neighborhood is screaming and yelling, and you're wondering what that's about.
Really?
And
really, they're going to be screaming and yelling for San Francisco or the Kansas City?
What do you do, Tim? Do you like drive out to Walmart and get all kinds of shopping done during the game? Because look, I can get some ammo off this rack here, and
I have sometimes been late with my 7-layer dip. So
there we go. All right, yeah, I think the Chiefs will win. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle, Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.